Welcome to Stuck in My Mind podcast, the show where we dive into the mind of a regular guy on his road to self-discovery. You'll hear everyday people just like you share the latest topics, personal stories, and things they've learned along the way. And now, please welcome your host, Wise.
And welcome to another episode. I am your host, W-I-Z-E. I have a very special guest. He's a coach, best-selling author, actor, speaker. Welcome to the show, Tyler Foley. Hey, Tyler.
Hey, Wise. How you doing?
I'm doing well, brother. How you doing?
Yeah, we talked, man. I'm doing really well. It's been a good day. It's been a good week. It's barely the first of the month, but it's still been a good month, and last month was even better. So I'm doing well, my friend.
Oh man, just last week I was in Podfest, which is a convention for podcasters.
Yes.
And
Alex Sanfilippo was there, and he was speaking, and
you know
I wanted
Alex?
to be there. I know Alex. Of course, I know Alex. I'm a Podmatch user through and through.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. You are a Podmatch. So I got to meet Alex. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, have a couple of pictures with Alex. I had a great time, man. It was an eye-opening experience. I got to meet a lot of people that I follow on YouTube and some other people that I actually recorded with, and to get to meet them in person and connect. It was an amazing experience.
I'm going to be there next year. Whether I'm just attending, I'm going to put in an application to speak there because I really want to, bring forth the side.
I'm putting it out there right now. Next year, me and you recording live.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm
right.
Done. We're there.
We're doing it live. I did a live show Sunday, but I think I want to go live every day next time.
Yeah,
early in the morning, because there's a place downstairs we went and we recorded early in the morning. But I think this time I'm gonna drive. That way I can bring more equipment with me. I want to really go all out because I had a great experience, but I really want to do a few live shows directly from Podfest.
I think that's a great idea, and if I can be a part of it, I am pumped, my friend, pumped, because I love the community. I just love how everybody who's in podcasting seems to give back. I haven't met a bad podcaster yet. I've met some hosts who have room for improvement on their show, but I haven't met anybody who wasn't giving, who wasn't really devoted to to their craft. So I'm on board. I'm there.
This community is an amazing community. A lot of people that I met, they were like, oh, they was more than willing to share tips. They sat down and recorded with other people. It was a great experience, and it just went to show you that when people get together, and it was people from all walks of life.
Yeah.
And that was the amazing thing. That was the thing that everyone from. It was crazy. It was just crazy. Some people there that just would amaze you. Like if they're capable of doing podcasts and doing what they're doing, there's nothing that should be holding me back. That's how I would look at it. And they were inspiring. When Charles, who she suffered from cerebral palsy, and she was in her chair, she gave a speech. But it's inspiring to see someone like her doing a podcast. And people knew who she was. She got, like I said, she got to speak at one of the tracks. And that's just like you, my goal is to actually get to speak at one of the events. So yeah, we got some good goals to aim for, man.
Yeah, I like it. I am pumped. Next year, you and me hanging out. Well, I want to be on a show live. It sounds fun.
Oh, but listen, just getting to sit down and, like you said, Alex was amazing. Then other Podmatch members and just the community in general, man, the Podfest community. It's just amazing how people just come together, and we just had a great time. There was no incidents. Everybody had a great time. People were loving it. People were just so much information everywhere.
Yeah.
Like if you was lacking in a certain field of your expertise or whatever it is, they had a track for it. Or if you wanted to monetize on TikTok or Instagram, it was just a great experience.
Yeah.
But enough about Podfest. Let's talk to Tyler about. So Tyler, what's going on, man? What you have going on with you?
Oh, so much going on. I'm just in the midst of getting some events organized for Phoenix and Atlanta in September. Looking to stage my own event in October. You know, constantly working with Alex. We're launching a podcast mastery challenge. So it's a free online challenge for anybody who on the guest side who wants to get out and start to use guesting on podcasts as a platform to promote, you know, your coaching or your book or whatever it is that you want to do. Primarily, we're looking at helping self-published nonfiction authors, particularly in the business space. So your entrepreneurs, your business owners who have written a book and then go like, well, I don't know, I was told I needed to write a book and now I don't know what to do with it. So we're showing them how you can use podcasts really, really effectively to get your message out, to collaborate and cooperate with hosts and help promote their show and have them help promote your work, and just how to use that effectively. So I'm just in the midst of staging this free 3-day challenge. It's going to go June 15th, 16th, 17th. We're running it. So I'm in the midst of that. I just finished speaking in Dallas. Tony Robbins was there, Phil Town was there, Molly Bloom was there, JT Fox, some really cool people were speaking there. And I had the privilege of getting to have my promoter lanyard on too and hang out backstage. And so it's just, I don't know, man, the world, it's a good time to be me. I like it.
That's amazing. Listen, it's right now, the way people just is right, especially in digital content and with what you're doing, especially for helping us published authors who, like my nephew, he's a published author. We self-published him this year, and we didn't know nothing about marketing and any of that stuff. We're learning all this on the fly. This is us learning and trying to, but it was just the fact that we did it. We went out and did it, but going down to Podfest, it showed you a lot of, again, it showed you a lot of different things. And in this, and in the community, it's a Podmatch itself, it has a big community.
Well, you know what? There are so many matching services. So let's give a plug out to Alex for what he's put together, because there's a lot of services out there that do similar to what Alex does, right? Like you're a guest, you're a host. Let's put an algorithm together, swipe left, swipe right. And, you know, it works. But what Alex has done is he's gone above and beyond. And it's exactly what you said. He's created a community within Podmatch. So it's not just this matching service. It's people actually getting together and helping each other grow this craft, grow this industry, making guests better guests, making hosts better hosts, giving them the tools and the opportunities to really grow and expand. And support it. And I love it.
And okay, I'm in the basic plan, but after being at Podfest and speaking to Alex and speaking about what's going on with Podmatch, I'm signing up for the plan. The plan, because it benefits me. Yeah. It pays for itself.
It really does.
Because I already interviewed guests that if I had been on the premium plan, I would have been getting credit for. So it pays for it. So listen, I love Alex. What you guys are doing and what he's doing is amazing, especially for creators, because he's trying to help creators get monetized even quicker.
You know what? And I think that's the thing that I love the most about him, and why I was really happy to work with and collaborate with him, particularly on this challenge, because we're promoting Podmatch as the primary platform for people to find podcasts to be on. And that just became a natural, symbiotic relationship there, because I've made such use of the platform over the last 18 months. Starting last April, is when I was introduced to Podmatch. And before that, I would do like 1 or 2, 3 shows a month. Since joining Podmatch, I've done over 300 episodes as a guest, made some incredible connections, you included, where I get to work with some of these incredible people with great vision, great shows, and where it's truly a collaborative effort between me and the host. And then on top of that, I've been able to really grow and expand my reach, help them expand and grow their reach through my audience, just all the things about it. So when I came up with this challenge, it was the first thing. He was literally the first person I reached out to. I was like, Alex, I'm doing this thing. Will you come on? Will you help support it? Because I want to bring more people into your platform, introduce them to more of the hosts that you have and the shows that you have going on. And he was on board because he's collaborative, because he's a great guy. So we love Alex. Just shout out to Alex and
big shout out to Alex. Listen, and like you said, it's community. It's community. And that's one of the things that we learned while we were down there was you want to build a community. With whatever you do, you need to build a community if you want it to thrive and succeed. And by building that community, that means you helping other people succeed. And that's what Alex is giving everybody. When I seen that, I'm like, when I was down there and I heard what he said and all those, I'm like, no one is doing this.
Mm-hmm.
No platform is doing what he's offering creators.
No, including the education piece of it. So that's right. He's got his pod match, but then he has the Pod Pros community, yes. and it's the education piece. The amount that he gives back, and for such a little ask too. Like, it's not like his subscription fee is obnoxious. It is incredibly affordable. And then on top of it, as a host, you get paid every time you book a pro guest, and like, you know what I mean? Like, all of the ways that he's looking to give back into the industry. I think the more people embrace that kind of modality, where that abundance mindset, and where you look to serve, to give first. And Alex exemplifies that. And I think the better off we will all be. And it's amazing how quickly the industry grows. I have a great admiration and respect for him. In case you haven't noticed, a little bit of man crush here on him.
I think we both have one on him.
Yeah. And his wife Alicia is amazing too. I love Alicia.
It was. I got to sit down and speak to both of them, and I told Alex Alex, I appreciate you for the fact that you're accessible to everyone. Mm-hmm. You send him a message and he'll respond. It won't be somebody else writing in for him. It's him responding to you. And I had to let him know I appreciate that. That's one of the best things because usually these creators of these websites usually has a team. Yeah. But if you message Alex directly, he will respond to you and answer you. So that's what I love about him. Yeah, no, I have great admiration, because it's not like it could be easy for him, because his community is large. No, it large, and he's got his fingers in a lot of pies. So the personal, like you said, it's the hands-on personal touch. He's incredible, and I think Alicia has a big part to do with that, and supporting him and making sure everything ticks along. So she does. Big shout out to them. But all right, so this program, is 3 days, you said? Yeah, we're putting together a 3-day, challenge style. Challenge, right? Where we going to spend an hour to 2 hours each day showing people really how to get on to podcasts and to do it effectively. So what do you do when you're writing out to a host, when you want to pitch them, and how do you put together an effective pitch? Because we have, input from Alex and some other really amazing people. Kelsey Knutson, who runs an incredible podcast herself, has provided some of the content, and she's got 2 shows now that she hosts. And, what does she look for when it comes to guests? Another gentleman and friend of ours, Mike, who runs an incredible podcast himself and a publishing company. What does he look for when we're looking for it? So we want people to have really effective pitches, really good bios. What do you do as far as pictures go? One of the things that Alex introduced me and my business partner, Michael, to is this picture right here for hosts, so that they have the background space here to put in graphics. I'm grew up in film and television. I have a TV background. I understand news broadcasting and framing yourself into this third. And I didn't ever think to provide a show host this. It would have saved me time. It would have saved me a lot of time. So as soon as Alex and I were talking about it, what do you think is on my Podmatch profile right now? As soon as he said it, I put this as I took the picture. I was like, and now you have, a couple of different versions of like this and one like this. And, and that's, yes, you're absolutely right. Yes. That right. That's, and it's crazy because it's, I use like you do it simple. Like right now, it's so simple the way you have it. There's people that use OBS to have their slides coming on, but right now with how you doing it right there, or with here using StreamYard, I can put like insert little video clips and stuff like that, and they can play it in the corner or whatever, or whatever it is. And so that's cool, man. Like I didn't really realize until the dimensions you were going. Yes.
Yeah, and it's just it's such a simple thing to make a host's life easy, is to give them this picture. And now all of a sudden their graphics become easy, or you can frame it here if they want to put the thing up there. I can move over to this way, and now you can have this if you want to put up graphics and do whatever in StreamYard. All of these things are and they're such simple things. Like, how do you have a compelling bio? How do you give your host really good questions to ask you so that they look good, so that you look good? You know, what goes into the craft of telling a story effectively?
Do you recommend podcasters attend?
You know what? I don't know why you'd probably easily pick a thing up. We are really designing it more for people who want to be on podcasts.
Yes,
but I think for podcasts, it's free. So why not? And then you can provide some input into it.
No, I look at it as far, because us podcasters have to be guests as well.
Yeah.
It's to help promote our podcast, we have to go and promote ourselves on other podcasts. So there's tips there that as a podcaster who wants to be a guest, it might be helpful.
Oh, I would agree 1,000%. And yeah, no, really, what do you have to lose? It's a couple hours, the 15th, 16th, 17th of June. And even if you only take away one tidbit, even if that tidbit is just this one,
it's a big one.
It's a big one. It's amazing. And because that's the other thing too, is, when you start to think, when you can get into the mind of a guest, and then a guest can get into a mind of a host, that's when we can start to understand each other, and why the processes are what they are. Some people have, particularly from a host side, I know being a guest, some hosts have very stringent restrictions on how they want the application to go through, and what goes in and what they're asking for, and use this booking calendar and go through this process. And some are a little bit more free flow, and some are like you and me. We're like, okay, what do you got on this day? That works.
Yeah.
Let's hop on and have a conversation.
For me, it's I like to just come on, let's talk, and just like how you get to talk about the products that whatever, but it's something that it resonates with me, because it's something we have something in common. We both use Podmatch, and we know the powers that it holds, and the capabilities it has for us, especially you being a guest and me being a host, for some big time exposure. This is a huge community, so for you to be able to leverage it and use it to your advantage is.
And I don't know if Alex brought it up in his talk, because I know me and him have had this discussion a few times over the last month and a half. The community is staying static, but the listenership is growing, because for every podcast that starts up in a given month, that same number drop off and just stop recording. So you have the same number approximately of shows that this listenership has available to it, but podcast listenership is growing exponentially every month. And so the number of people who are starting to download and listen to podcasts is growing. That means that audience is growing, but the number of shows they have available to them is not growing. So that, to me, is a prime opportunity for exposure. And as we've pointed out, it's that collaboration piece where we can all start working together to take advantage of what is a very primed audience, and make sure that that audience is being served, and then everybody wins. And I'm frankly excited to be in this space. I can't wait to see how it turns out over the next 24 to 36 months. I'm just excited to see the explosion of the growth.
They're talking about some big numbers as far as what creators can make out there. And listen, being an independent creator like myself, and I learned so many ways down that Podfest, that I learned about Amazon Live. I learned how to leverage TikToks and Instagrams and Reels, and these are tools that I was not using. I was just probably just strolling in, and I'm like, these are tools. Well, I need to stop strolling and looking at the TikToks and actually start creating TikToks.
I got yelled at the other day by my very good friend Vanda Corbett, who has a show herself. Amazing human when it comes to human growth and potential. She's a chiropractor, works in Dubai, just an amazing mind. And she said that, she's like, Tyler, why aren't you on TikTok? And I gave the old man answer, I don't understand the TikTok. She goes, TikTok was custom designed for you. She's like, you are an actor and a performer. You're naturally charismatic. You're out doing all of this stuff. You are on video all the time. Why aren't you on TikTok? And I was like, I don't get it. And she's like, unacceptable, not an excuse. So I reached out to Rachel Peterson, and I was like, okay, Rachel, tell me more about TikTok. How can I make it? How can I use this platform?
Listen, it was great because my nephew, he's like you. He's like, I don't want to go on TikTok and do stuff clowny. That was his saying. I don't want to do stuff clowny. I don't want to be a clown. I want to be serious. So when we actually got him to do a TikTok, but it was a bunch of podcasters. Like, we would throw the mic up and we would catch it and then say your name and say the name of the podcast and drop the mic. And we all went, and the lady who started the reel, the TikTok, she edited, made it look like every time you drop the mic, the next podcaster would catch it and say their name and then drop it, and it would just appear. And he loved it. And now he's like, oh, I got to start doing some TikToks.
That is the thing. Yeah, well, and that's exactly it. So as soon as Vanda prompted me, Rachel gave me the right cues, and so now I'm going to start the TikTok, and we'll see how it goes.
You're going to make some dope TikToks. Stop playing, man. Stop playing.
I already see how they go.
Just I can see how the energy you have and the personality you have. Dude, please, you should have been doing TikToks, man.
I should have been doing TikToks.
You should have been doing
But the best time to plant a tree is yesterday. Next best time is today. Yes. So we're doing it. Maybe I'll do like my first TikTok. I'll recreate the book cover. Like, that's what I'll do.
So tell us about the book. Tell us about the book.
Yeah. Well, why not? What a segue. We can do that. Yeah. So The Power to Speak Naked, #1 best-selling book, which is always fun to be able to say. Surprisingly not as hard as most people think. It was actually quite easy. It didn't take as many sales as I thought to hit the #1 category in Amazon. And now my next goal is to get #1 on the Wall Street Journal. It's kind of one of those things where it's an actual metric where you're like, I sold 1,500 copies in a week. So my next goal is not to just be an Amazon #1 bestseller, but a Wall Street Journal bestseller. But the book came about because everybody kept asking how it was that I do what I do. Why would I be good at TikToks? And how is it that I can just come on and speak and have the confidence to do it? And I really had to reverse engineer what that process is, we'd mentioned off the top, I've been acting and performing since I was 6 years old. So I'm coming up into my 4th decade of performing. And I'm very comfortable on stage, and I needed to figure out why, so that I could then teach other people how they could be comfortable on stage. And really, if I could boil the book down to one sentence, it's that you're not actually afraid of public speaking. You're afraid of public judgment. And so I spend 10 chapters breaking down why you don't need to be afraid of judgment from your audience. Your audience is on your side. You are the expert and the authority if you have this platform. Whether you've given yourself the platform or somebody else has designated it to you, you have a platform. And if people come, they want to see you succeed. The audience is on your side. So I just had to write down all those thoughts into the book and put it out there. And it's been really, really, really fun having it. I'm looking forward. We're going to be updating it and doing a revised edition that comes out next year in 2023, around September of 2023. Because I'm cheeky and because I'm a South Park fan, I want to call it The Power to Speak Naked, bigger, longer, and uncut. But I don't know if my publisher is a gem. I absolutely love David Hancock over at Morgan James, but he primarily a Christian publishing house. And so I don't know
if that title will go by.
He was good. He was good with The Power to Speak Naked. He was on board with that. So I just don't know how much I can push it with bigger, longer, and uncut. So we'll see if I have to just call it just the revised edition, which I think is boring, but you know, whatever. We'll see how it goes.
I don't know. I could imagine. I could imagine you. I could imagine. Would you update the cover, or would you just keep the same cover?
That's a really good question. I have fallen in love with this cover since my publisher or my graphic designer put it together, Lorraine Shelba. She did such a good job of kind of reaching into my brain and figuring out what it was. Originally, what I wanted was a picture of me this way, being like, and the power to speak naked, covering up what needed to be, and be fully nude. You know, you wouldn't see it, but me. And we just didn't have the time to get that photo shoot done. And then at some point in the graphic design process, it had moved away from kind of that vision to a really close headshot of me, and we had it in my total buy-in branding color. So it was a lot of blues and grays and very muted tones. And there was something about it that I didn't like. And so when Lorraine and I were working back and forth, she said, well, what's about it? And I'm like, it's too much of me. And I said, originally I wanted this thing. And she says, well, why did you write the book? And I'm like, I want to serve people. I want them to know that they can get their message out there about them. And she's like, well, why don't we just flip the dude around? I don't know. Show me. And so as soon as she turned around so that the person was anonymous and facing an audience, where literally you could step in and have the power to speak naked. And I looked at that. I was like, oh, I love that. So would I want to go back to this one? Potentially. But again, it's
the other one makes the one it has on there now. It makes sense. It makes sense.
And that's
it's
the thing.
The power to speak naked. So you're facing the crowd, speaking to them. So of course your back is towards
So if I had the opportunity to change it, I will have the opportunity to change it. Do I though? Probably not. I think I
wouldn't tweak. I wouldn't mess with it too much. No.
Bigger, longer, uncut. Right there. That's all I need to do. Bigger, longer, uncut.
And will it be bigger, longer than uncut?
It will be. Because I'm not going to take anything out of the current manuscript.
So you won't be lying. So technically you'll be telling the truth.
That's right. And
so the publishing house really is like, it is bigger.
Yeah.
It's uncut. It's but it's bigger, longer. It's definitely longer.
Yeah.
And it's uncut.
Yeah. Go from 134 pages up to probably about 160, 170. We're adding in 2 chapters. So listen,
I agree with you. I would go with that title.
Yeah. I'm going to tell him. I'll tell David tomorrow. I'll be like, Wise said.
Yeah. You're like, okay. Yeah. Who's Wise?
I'll tell him it's not just a clever name.
Yeah.
It's a wise man.
It makes sense. It just makes sense. It does.
Yeah.
You're not false advertising. You're telling the truth.
Yeah. I like it.
I like that too. I like that title. But definitely keep the guy facing the crowd. Definitely.
Yeah, I think at this point I'm in love with it, and I can't change away from it. Even the tweaks that they made to the cover I originally self-published it in 2019 before Morgan James picked it up, and when the tweaks that they made to like the spine, I like this was my version, and so to clean that up so it stands out a little bit better on a shelf. Even the fact that I had this glossy finish, which is really hard to show on camera, and now they've switched it over to the matte. And they even softened it so there's a little bit more gray around it, which again goes with my branding. Just everything that they did. I can't thank Morgan James enough for believing in the book and believing in me and standing up and putting out a product that I'm really proud to promote. Because that's the other thing too. The initial version, when I self-published, it was one of those, I was giving it away for free. And I didn't want to talk about it. I'm like, I got this book. Here you go. And now that Morgan James has done such a good job of putting together a really quality product, and now I'm hawking it everywhere. I can't take it down. It goes with me everywhere I travel.
Oh no, we got rid of a bunch of we self-published my nephew's book, and we took a bunch of books with us down to Podfest, and we were just giving them out. And
there you go.
There were people, but there were a lot of companies that help people publish books, and it was so many. It was. I was like, At first I didn't think about why are there so many publishing companies here at a podcast convention, but then I'm thinking, well, you have a lot of content, especially
Mhm.
I have so much content, and especially with some of the topics that I talk about, where I can write a book.
Mhm.
So I'm realizing why they were at a podcasters convention, and because if you have a podcast with as many podcast episodes as I have 100, as far as my audio, I have 145 episodes.
Yeah.
My video, I have another probably 50 episodes. So within all that content, I have quite a few books probably.
Yeah. I was so again, Kelsey Knutson, who has a great podcast called When I Grow Up. And I work with her quite regularly. And we were on a call today, and she's like, Tyler, I want to start speaking. And I'm like, you already do speak. She's like, yeah, but I want to like speak on stages. I'm like, okay, well, that's different. I can help you with that. And she goes, do you think I need a book? I said, oh yeah, you need a book. You want to speak on the big stage? Because she has a big vision for where she wants to speak. I said, you want to speak on stage, you need to have a book. Like that's just a prerequisite for the big stages. And she goes, well, but where do I start? I'm like, how many episodes you record? And she's like, well, I have 69 published right now. I said, how many do you have to come out? She's like, probably another 30 or 40. And I'm like, that's 3 books, right? Like you think an hour long conversation, you compress that. You've got 160 wise, like that's, you're looking at 600 plus another 360. You're almost 1,000 hours of content.
That's what I have released. That's not,
yeah.
That's
not even what's in the bank.
Like, you know how, like you said, you recorded 300 episodes probably.
Yeah.
Being a guest.
Yeah.
I probably have in the can. I have, no lie, over another 150 episodes.
Right. So like all of that is content. So I told her, I said, you've easily got 3 books, and she's got a fascinating story too. So we were even playing around with titles because she used to be a salon owner. And so I was like, Scissors to Success and Barber Chair Boss Babe. And what was the other one that I was thinking of? I can't even remember now. I was riffing earlier when we were talking. I'm like, like take all of these things and now you have like 3, 4, 5 books out of it. Set out an anthology. Like it's not even just that you have a book, you have an anthology. And these are, wise books. Wise books. And you can have, the volumes 1 through 12. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's actually, I spoke to a few people because my original plan was to do a book on podcasting, but I have a story. I've experienced some things in my life that people would help people, and so when I was speaking to someone down there and I told them my story, and then I told him what I wanted to do my book on, he was like, "Yeah, you need to not worry about doing a book on podcasting." He says everybody's doing a book on podcasting.
Yeah, I'm doing a book on podcasting.
Yeah, he says, but your story, you need to share your story. You need to share what happened in your life, the experiences you went through. That is a book someone needs to read. And so I've come home and decided that's what I'm doing. It's just even if it's me just dictating to myself, like
I'll let you in on a secret. That's how my book got written. I didn't write a thing. I spoke it all. It's the fastest way to do it is to just dictate, especially now. Like, you don't even need Dragon software anymore. You could just, I think it's like Control H or Windows H on your keyboard. And you can do voice recognition or like speak into your phone, have Siri dictate it for you. Like all of or Alexa, I understand takes dictation as well. So you can, there's so many options there. And I'll tell you this wise, the thing you're afraid to say is probably what your audience needs to hear. I teach that at every one of my workshops, every one of my seminars. You want to tell a compelling story, say the thing that you're afraid to say and see how quickly people gravitate to that message.
Oh no, and I've shared my story on my podcast. People but when people hear my story, they're amazed, and it's because I was widowed at 31, and I went. It was one loss after another. I reunited with my dad, only to lose him.
Mhm.
Lost two brothers, an uncle and aunt that helped raise me, and I was spiraling out of control. I was self medicating, just didn't care about anything in life. Was angry with the world, and so one day I woke up and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I have to seek help, and I sought the help that I needed, and it's been a process. I've gotten back into self development, reading books, and just wanting to improve every day. And so to be able to share my story, and at first I didn't. When I first started my podcast, I did not share my story.
Mhm. Mhm.
And but then when I having my guests on coming on and share their story, it made me open up more and be able to share my story now more and realize that listen, someone might have to hear it. It might help them out knowing that we all go through struggles. We all have our ups and downs. We all have faced our demons, and to be able to overcome it and have a successful career in what I do. Re- Remarried to a beautiful woman that helps support, who supports what I do, who has my back and believes in what I'm doing,
Mhm.
and to start building relationships with me switching my mindset and attracting more people who want to help me build and grow, and I want the same for them.
Yeah. Hence,
So
Stuck in My Mind podcast, man. I
and
love what you're doing with it.
and that's why I was stuck in my head for so long and stuck in my mind for so long, and that's once I pressed record and got over the fear of recording, because I would make up excuses like, oh man, who would want to listen to me? I suck, my voice is horrible, and all it took was me pressing record. And
Yeah.
my nephew was like, "Oh wait, we should wait till we perfect it or we get better." I was like, "Nah, I want people to
No.
realize where we started. We started off with a little 5 minute segment to where I'm at now, where I'm doing 30 minute plus, up to, sometimes an hour, depends on who I'm talking to. But it's having great conversations and being able to share some great times with my audience.
Well, and I'll tell you, anybody who tells you you don't have a good voice can go pound salt because you've got a phenomenal voice. Like I hear you and I hear essence of like Les Brown with a little hint of Forrest Whitaker, and you look like Forrest Whitaker, so you got a great face for it too. Like you've got that a wise, I'd call it a wise face. It's not just a wise name. You got a wise face to go with your name, sir. And yeah, no, it's a you know chocolatey voice, man. Like you got a good voice. I like it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
I'm a
And
fan.
oh, I've grown to love it. I believe you,
Yeah.
I've grown to love it. But it's me being able to find my voice. This is my therapy. Like I come on here and I get to speak to some amazing people like yourself and realize like this is fun. This is a great time. You make this like talking to you now is just like yes, I talk on serious topics, but sometimes you just need to be able to just have a good time and
Mm-hmm.
laugh and just show people like listen, I'm here. Yeah, we talk on some serious topics, but sometimes we just like to enjoy ourselves and have people come on and show people like, listen, you can have fun doing what you love to do.
Oh yeah. And as you pointed out, a lot of the times it's just getting out of your own way to do it. Everybody has adversity in their life. It's real easy to pile up the woe is me stories. My father passed away at 6 years old. I had a medical incident at 17 that left me the left side of my body completely paralyzed. It took over a year to recover from that. I was homeless at 23. I distinctly remember wandering around the streets of Vancouver, not knowing where my next meal was going to come and where I was going to sleep. And, we all have those moments in our lives, or you could go back and look at all the great ones.
Yeah.
I've been performing and acting since I was 6 years old. I'm a #1 best-selling author. I have owned 3 businesses, 2 of which have failed, but they were wonderful learning experiences so that this most latest venture that I have has sustained itself for the last 7 years. I just celebrated my 7-year anniversary in my business, February 5th. So that is,
That's an
fantastic.
accomplishment. That's an
Yeah.
accomplishment. Listen, and okay, yeah. So what? Those other 2 businesses failed, but at least you attempted to do. That's the problem. People stay on the sidelines. They don't attempt
Yeah.
it because they're afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to fail.
No, I like failure. Because the thing
that's
is,
the only way you improve. That's the only way you
that's
learn.
right.
So it's not. It's technically not failure. I look at it as a lesson.
Learning
learned.
opportunity. Yeah, exactly.
It's a lesson learned. It's not. So change this. That's where we need to change the narrative on that. It's not being a failure. It's lesson learned.
Yeah. And it's exactly that. And, it's an old adage that the only way that you can fail is if you don't learn. And if you're stuck doing the same thing, you're stuck in your head, you won't get out of your own way. You're telling that same story over and over and over again. I've been trying for 20 years to get in an audition with the big main theater company here in Calgary. Hence, it's called Theater Calgary, not just a clever name. And 20 years I've been trying to get in with an audition for them. And I finally got the opportunity to audition with them last month. And I bombed it. Oh, it was a disaster. Absolute disaster. But the funny thing is literally a week later, my agent phoned me and she said, "Hey, you booked this TV role." So it's not that I don't have talent. It's that I didn't do good prep work for the Theater Calgary audition. And that was my learning. I've gotten so accustomed to doing television auditions and being able to prepare one way and have this as my framing so that I can cheat a little bit and have scripts off to the side. Or if I don't have it memorized, I can do another take. I couldn't do that live in the room. And it's been a long while since I've auditioned for theater. So it was a great opportunity for me to be like, hey, got to dust off that skill again, Tyler. You got to learn how to do that. And, learning opportunity there. And same with the businesses, the businesses collapsed, but there were opportunities for me to learn on how to improve the system so that now I have a sustainable business that I can say I'm 7 years in. Most businesses, what is it like
2 to 3
80%? Yeah. 80% fail within the first 1 to 3 years. And then another, within 5 years, 90% have failed. That if you get to the 7-year mark, you're like in the 1 percentile of businesses. Happy 1 percentile.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because the average lifespan of a podcast is 7 to 10 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Happy 163.
Well, I was 145 and I have probably another 50 video because at first my podcast was strictly audio, right?
Yeah.
And I had a couple of brand strategists come on, a couple, and they were like, "So you don't do video?" I'm like, "No, I just do my audio podcast." So they're like, "So you don't do video?" I'm like, "No, I'm sorry, I don't." "So you don't do video?" "Oh, yes, I do now. Record." Here we go. And since then, I've released a video podcast as well on YouTube. So it's just, and if they're like, "Listen, you needed that content. There's so much content in video that I was just neglecting. It wasn't me using the proper tools again."
Yeah.
And it's a learning experience. It's a
learning experience.
Now I record everything.
Yeah. And it's amazing how it can be repurposed.
Yes.
I can use this for the TikTok. There's got to be something in here that we can put on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. And then you grabbing all of this stuff and you grab the, transcribe the audio from it. And now you have blog material and book material. And, somebody says something really good, you can do a compilation. There's now ways to put together joint ventures. You can repackage a lot of this stuff and put it in as training information. Like there's so many things that you can do when you do the data capture up front, but it's having the forethought and the foresight to grab the whole bit of the picture. Yeah. And, like you said, you're doing it now. You had enough people say, "So you're not doing video, huh?"
No, it was just that couple. They the ones who like, so you really not doing video? And I'm like, yeah, now I am. And I thank them. I'm glad that they did push me to press record.
Yeah.
It was just me making up another excuses to why. Oh, I'm not ready for YouTube, or I'm not ready to do a video.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm already recording the episode using StreamYard.
Yeah.
What does it hurt to have the video? Here we go.
Go.
And that's me getting out my own way. It's me not thinking too much and just going and doing it. Stop.
Trust in the process.
Yes.
Trust in the
getting
process.
in the way.
Yeah.
But all right, Tyler. So now is the time where you get to plug away everything. Let them know where they can find you, your Instagram, everything.
All right. Well, before I do, I do want to say thank you so much, Wise, for having me on, because I know you know that I'm in the industry. You know, you've been to Podfest. You know that I know the amount of work that goes into putting on a show like this. So I want to take a moment to acknowledge you, to acknowledge the work that you're putting in, to thank your audience for watching us, for listening to us, for doing everything that they're doing. And what I would ask humbly from your audience is, if you are watching this, whatever platform you're watching this on, give Stuck in My Mind a 5-star review or a thumbs up or a like or whatever your platform allows for, you know, just give it that review. And if you're on one of the podcast things like Spotify, I want you to give like a good, honest review to Wise, so that he knows in these 145 podcasts that he's put out, which ones had impact for you, so that he can tailor the content to serve you better. And if Wise, your audience is willing to hit pause right now, because you're listening to this, so that's all you need to do. Just hit pause. You're already here. Do the review.
Yeah.
And now that you're back, having given, I'm going to get on their word. They've given me their word, so I'm going to trust that they have hit pause and they've given you a 5-star review.
I've been blessed with a lot of people that truly do support me, that check out my podcast and do leave reviews. You always do have those fans that do that, and then there's some people that you meet along the way that they start tuning in and they start subscribing and leaving ratings and reviews. But then you have to do the same thing in return. You have to really go back and I try to do that as much as possible and go and share. I share as many people's podcasts as possible on my social media feeds. It's me helping them grow.
My thank you to your audience who has taken the time to help you grow by giving you the reviews, by supporting you. My thank you to them is they can come over to SeanTylerFoley.com. So at SeanTylerFoley.com there. Sean is spelled the proper Irish way, SeanTylerFoley.com. And you can say Tyler sent you. And if you go there, as a thank you for supporting Stuck in My Mind, I would like to invite any one of your audience members into my Endless Stages Facebook group. It's a free group. I come live every Tuesday and give a 20-minute training session on how to be a better speaker, how to use podcasts, how to use books, how to get on stage, how to be more effective in communicating and telling stories. We love to work with particularly self-published authors and entrepreneurs who have nonfiction works and they're not sure how to get it out there. I want to show you the best way to promote your work and really have an effective way of monetizing that effort that you put into making a book and getting it published.
This right here is my nephew's book right here. We self-published it. We got some good feedback, but we also got some critiques that we took. Like, we're like, okay, yeah, it makes sense that we need to do certain things to change.
Yeah.
But that was the point of going down there, was to be able to have that experience and speak to published authors and to speak to these publishing companies and see what they thought and their honest feedback.
Yeah.
And so it was a great experience and I loved it.
Well, that's great. And then, so I would invite you, I would invite your nephew, I'd invite all of your listeners, come on by, check out Endless Stages. If you go through the website, so if you actually come to SeanTylerFoley.com and you sign up that way, we send you a whole bunch of welcome emails, including a PDF version of The Power to Speak Naked. I give you my Drop the Mic Trainer series. So it's online video modules to be a better speaker. You get in the Facebook group, we go live every Tuesday. And I also offer everybody a free 20-minute one-on-one session with me. There's no pitch with that. It's not one of those, hey, have this free thing, and then I'm going to offer you $8,000 coaching package. I hate those. I hate those with a passion. I understand why they're there, and I understand that model. And if that's a conversation people want to have about coaching, I will have it separately. but the 20-minute session is literally, you get 20 minutes with me to ask me whatever you want, and I am there to serve and to not pitch, just to be of service. So those are my gifts to your audience for supporting you, Wise, and my thank you to you for having me on your platform so that I can help them out.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you coming on. Definitely do appreciate. But don't leave just yet, okay?
No, not a problem.
All right, so now it is time for shout outs. Big shout out to the Real Wise fam, Bobby J, Brandy J, love you guys. Big shout out to the boss lady, Fina, love you, baby. And a big shout out to our guest, Tyler Foley, for coming through and showing love and coming with the great energy that he had, and we greatly appreciate it. And as always, a big shout out to all the essential workers out there. God bless you, be safe. You know how your boy Wise does it. Peace out.
Thanks for listening. Listen on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, and TuneIn. Find us on social media on Twitter at @wise_b_blunt, Instagram at @wise_b_blunt, and a Facebook fan page, www.facebook.com/wise76. Check back soon for new episodes. Until next time, peace out.